broadcasting live with coverage you can count on. This is KSLA News 12 at 10.
All right, I'm not even the weatherman everywhere I go. Doug, what's it going to do Friday? Well, let's just ask this guy, Chief Meteorologist Jeff Castle, straight to it, because this is serious stuff tomorrow.
Yeah, it is. We have an elevated risk for severe weather across the Arklatex, and we're talking about all forms of severe weather. Let's talk about the map here. Still, that enhanced risk remains in effect here for all of the Arklatex. That's basically 3 on a scale from 1 to 5. We will get the next severe weather outlook coming up overnight tonight. That'll arrive around 1 o'clock in the morning or so. That's something that I'll be up for, and I'll be posting on my meteorologist Jeff Castle Facebook page if you want to stay up to see the latest on that. But I don't expect we're probably going to have any big changes here. In fact, the talk has been over the last day or so of maybe an upgrade to a moderate risk for parts of the Arklatex. So we're going to be analyzing the latest data, and again, sharing that information with you overnight tonight, and of course first thing tomorrow morning with meteorologist Ron Young. Let's kind of break it down here for you, the severe weather threat and kind of what our expectations are. And the way it's looking, 2 rounds of storms are a possibility. The first will come in late in the afternoon between about 4 p.m. and then into the evening hours to about 9 or so. And this area in red, which is generally north of Interstate 20, is going to include the risk for a few tornadoes and perhaps some very large hail. This will be round 1, moves out by mid-evening, and then as a cold front sweeps in here later into the overnight hours, well, we're going to see storms across the rest of the Arklatex, and this is what will carry us through the late night hours from about 10 in the evening to around 4 in the morning. Damaging wind becoming the main threat at that point, but still could have some large hail and perhaps an isolated tornado risk. So there's a lot we're going to be monitoring tomorrow, and the entire storm team is going to be here watching things for you. Here's what you need to do to get prepared. Make sure you download the KSLA weather app. That's a way to get weather warnings for your location, and also if you lose power, to watch our broadcast and find out exactly what's happening with the storms. Make sure you charge up your phones and your tablets so they're ready to go tonight. Make sure the NOAA weather radios, if you have one of those, ready to go, and review that severe weather safety plan. You can watch for updates on social media as well by following Storm Tracker 12 on Facebook and on Twitter. I'll be back in just a few moments. I've got that very, very latest hour-by-hour forecast that just came out. We'll take you through it all as we head into your Friday and Friday night on the way in your forecast in just a few minutes.
We have team coverage on this tonight.
It is a very unfolding, tenuous situation.
It was about anywhere from 20 to 30 shots. They were back and forward for about 5 minutes, shooting back and forward at each other.
There were shots fired. We do have a police officer that has been shot. We have a second individual, an adult female, who also suffered a gunshot wound.
We also discovered something today that is both extremely hard to watch and heartbreaking. It is a Facebook live stream showing who we believe to be the shooting victim, and that is the shadow we believe to be of the gunman behind her. Well, right now, an accused killer is behind bars after allegedly shooting a hostage during a standoff. He's also accused of shooting a police officer who is recovering tonight a gunshot wound to his wrist. KSLA News 12's Jeff Farrell breaks down the chain of events during a very long and emotional day.
A tragedy unfolded in Shreveport's Caddo Heights neighborhood when police say an alleged gunman, 36-year-old Jonathan Robinson, fatally shot a woman reportedly being held against her will inside a house on Natalie Street. Authorities say Robinson allegedly shot a Shreveport police officer in the wrist as well before being taken into custody.
It was more than 10. It was 10 at first. They started shooting back at each other. It was ongoing, so it was about anywhere from 20 to 30 shots.
Medics took both victims to University Health Hospital, where Caddo coroner vehicles soon arrived for the woman. As for Jonathan Robinson, officers first took him to the Shreveport City Jail. That's when they say he damaged a water pipe, causing the cell to flood with water. After that disruption, police moved him to the Caddo Correctional Center.
I'm at the house. Get back. I'm at the house.
People could be seen running away from the perimeter of the scene several times during the standoff after either hearing shots fired or a loud boom. An electrician had been on a ladder outside a house when the standoff began next door.
When I got down on the ladder, I walked around to the front, and the police told me to get back in the house and lay down. And because it was an active shooting. And I laid there for about 30 minutes, and I kept hearing gunshots go on while I was laying down there.
Calvin Thomas says police soon got him out safely before the standoff had ended. Others grew increasingly impatient as they waited for the scene to clear to check on loved ones nearby. Luckily, no bystanders were injured in the ordeal. Jeff Farrell, KSLA News 12.
And we've learned tonight the officer who was shot has been released from the hospital and is recovering at home. That is great news. As for the gunman, as you see there, we've uncovered Robinson's criminal record. Shows he had a violent past. Among his previous charges, he took a plea deal for an aggravated second-degree battery charge in 2005. In 2015, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of domestic abuse battery, and as we reported earlier today, in addition to second-degree murder, he'll be facing charges of felon in possession of a gun. We've also discovered something today that will give investigators a window into the past. Straight inside that home where the gunman, Jonathan Robinson, reportedly held this female victim against her will and forced her to live stream on Facebook. We got our hands on that live Facebook stream. Tonight we were only showing you this still image from that video. We believe this to be the shooting victim and the shadow figure behind her, Robinson. In the video we can see and hear shots being fired at police and then more shots, and then the phone drops to the floor. At Newsroom's discussions today, we discussed the relevance and the importance of this video, but also the ethical use of it, which we also take very seriously. Shreveport Police has scheduled a news conference tomorrow morning at 11:30. That's when they plan to share more details of the shooting and Robinson's past. Again, that news conference at 11:30 tomorrow morning. We'll stream it live for you on our KSLA News 12 mobile app and coverage on KSLA News 12 at noon. And be sure to download our app, and you can watch extensive coverage of the shooting and the tragedy as it unfolded there in the Cattle Heights neighborhood. On our app right now, you can hear community reaction, details on the alleged gunman's disruptions at City Jail, and watch that Facebook live stream moments before the shootings took place. New at 10, a former Texas DPS trooper indicted on charges of sexually abusing a minor. We have confirmed 33-year-old Lewis Weems has been fired from Texas DPS after allegations of sexual abuse against a minor. Texas DPS terminated him earlier this year after an investigation by the Texas Rangers allegedly showed him should be charged for abusing the minor. Weems is set to appear in court next month for an arraignment. A vigil held earlier this evening to raise hopes over a missing Claiborne Parish boy. Rondrez Phillips Jr. has been missing for a week now. KSLA News 12's Christian Picos takes us inside this incredibly emotional gathering.
So there's power in unity, and we come unified this evening.
Candles burned bright, hands held tight, and voices raised to the sky.
They're looking for him out there, and that's what we need. Okay?
Dozens become a powerful source of hope for missing Claiborne Parish boy Rondrez Phillips Jr.
We call the name of Yeshua, glory to God.
Erica Owens helped organize the vigil.
Junior, we're not going to give up on you at all.
For Owens, the uncertainty of a lost child hits close to home.
My son was 16 at the time. Just imagine, this child is 4. I didn't sleep until I found my son sleeping on a bench in the park. So I can only imagine what his mother is going through, and that's partly the reason why I'm here.
Their voices unified in worship. The vigil moves to Junior's last known sighting. Phillips' family friend, Bobby Jenkins.
I pray that somebody have him. I'd rather for somebody to have him than him to be out in the woods somewhere.
Jenkins describes Claiborne Parish as a place where everyone comes together, especially in times of need.
That's what God wants us to do, is come together as one and show love. But it means a lot to me to see all different type of peoples coming together and showing love.
We will do everything in our power to make sure that he is found, Father God.
Marching as one, hopes are high, lights at the end of the tunnel for Junior. In Claiborne Parish, Christian Picos, KSLA News 12.
And here is another look at the youngster that is known as Junior. He's been missing since last Thursday morning, and police say he wandered off from his stepfather while the stepfather was outside working on the vehicle. The child was playing in the yard, FBI now offering a $5,000 reward for information. If you have any information, please do not hesitate. Call the Claiborne Parish Sheriff's Office or just call 911. Well, a bridge in North Caddo Parish, Louisiana Highway 1 bridge over the lake, it has reopened. Louisiana DOTD closed that bridge earlier this week after a vehicle over the weight limit for that bridge crossed over and damaged the surface, caused some concrete to break up from the deck. Again, it is reopened. New at 10, DeSoto Parish Schools, one step closer to having a new permanent superintendent. Tonight, the school board announced the 3 finalists for that position. Interim Superintendent Kathy Nowell, Eddie Jones, and Clay Corley. They'll all 3 interview for that superintendent post. Those interviews are scheduled for April 30th. The school board will then announce the new superintendent on May 3rd. Those 3 are vying to replace Kay Brumley, who took the same job in Jefferson Parish. Following a family tradition of service in tonight's KSLA Salutes, here are Houghton High seniors share the highs and lows of being a military kid. April is month of the military child. From deployments to new schools, military children are faced with unique challenges other children their age never experience. KSLA News 12's Marie Waxel introduces us to a Houghton High School senior who knows what it means to adapt and overcome obstacles as KSLA salutes Air Force Junior ROTC Cadet Andrew Long.
This one is the highest award that a JROTC cadet can earn on a normal basis for our unit anyways. It's the Air Force Association Award. For this, you have to be the top cadet in your JROTC class and plan on going into the military.
Andrew Long knows firsthand what it means to be in the military.
It's definitely not an easy thing to put on someone, and we go through just as much as our parents do, having to change constantly and never being stable in one place. It's definitely hard on your psyche, but I think it makes you a better person overall because you get to experience so many different things that you just become a better person.
Both his mom and dad served in the U.S. Air Force, a tradition he hopes to carry on.
I see myself going in and trying to do pararescue or being logistics, trying to help get stuff together for the different missions.
The journey hasn't always been easy. Moving from base to base, Andrew says it's hard for military kids to find their place.
Traveling constantly when I was younger, never got to really make any solid friends. Traveling, as I said, every 2 to 4 years, finding new home, new school. My mom spent over a year in Afghanistan, and during that time I was with just my dad, and we'd call once or twice a month just to talk with her for a couple minutes, and that was just, it was hard just being so far away from her.
His parents have since retired from the Air Force, allowing them to put roots in Bossier Parish.
It's definitely a lot different because I was so used to them being away from 7 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night and kind of just not having them here. And now that they are here, it's a lot easier because I can help them out with stuff, they can help me out with stuff, and it's not just everyone's kind of trying to do their own thing.
With just a few weeks left in his senior year, Andrew's eyes are set on the horizon.
So I learned to become mentally tough, and then also just spreading and experiencing different things gave me a wide view of the world and kind of the way that things work.
With a little advice to other military kids out there trying to find their way.
Be strong, it gets better, because no matter how dark the day, the light will always break through.
In Houghton, Marie Waxel, KSLA News 12.
Andrew plans to attend Louisiana Tech in the fall and enroll in their ROTC program and major in chemical engineering. And speaking of recognizing our military children here in the Arklatex, tomorrow Bossier Parish Schools are partnering with the Chamber and other community agencies for their annual Purple Up celebration to honor our local military children. The Purple Up program will be held 1:40 in the afternoon at Houghton Middle School.
Well, severe storms still expected to roll across the Arklatex tomorrow. I've got an updated hour-by-hour look at what to expect in your forecast after this break. Stay with us.
This is a severe weather alert day on KSLA News 12.
Hey again, everyone. We have declared tomorrow severe weather alert day here for the Arklatex. Threat for severe weather unfortunately looms large as we head into tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, and likely through the overnight hours as well. So this may be a prolonged period of time where we are tracking the potential for severe weather. As promised, here's the latest hour-by-hour forecast. Is just updated at 10 o'clock. So this is the very latest information. So I'm going to take you through it here. We'll go ahead and start you off tomorrow afternoon. There's not much that's going to happen tonight, tomorrow morning. Some clouds will move back in. Little else to talk about. But as we head to the heat of the day tomorrow, that's when we're going to start to see shower and thunderstorm activity really begin to flare up. This is 2:30 in the afternoon. We'll march you forward to 5 o'clock. And look at how quickly showers and thunderstorms are developing here across parts of the Arklatex. East Texas, southwestern Arkansas, perhaps even portions of northwestern Louisiana going to be in play for the stronger storms tomorrow afternoon and on into the evening hours. And we talked about this before. You're getting some of these storms up here in the purplish color. That's at the very tail end of the scale, and at times we're seeing some black showing up in these, which is off the scale, which means very intense thunderstorm activity tracking through. In fact, here you see it around 7 o'clock in the evening. And again, northeast Texas, northwest Louisiana, southwest Arkansas, likely going to be under the gun for that severe weather threat. Most likely, we're going to be under a tornado watch tomorrow afternoon into the evening and perhaps the overnight hours as well. So you do need to stay weather aware for that potential. Now, these initial storms that pop up in the afternoon and evening, still expecting that a lot of this activity will work its way on into parts of central Arkansas by 9 in the evening. But after that, we're not done. We've got a cold front coming in from the west, already seeing storms beginning to develop along that from DeQueen back to the west of Longview, Texas. So this will be a secondary surge of severe weather, which comes through the Arklatex overnight into early Saturday morning. 11 o'clock in the evening on your Friday, Texarkana back toward Marshall, Texas. That's where the strongest storms will be found, and these will continue to advance eastward past midnight, likely reaching the Shreveport-Bossier area at that point, and then everything will continue to work their way off to the east through the late night hours, and still very intense storms showing up here around 3 in the morning as they're exiting the eastern and southern parts of the Arklatex. It does look like by 4 or 5 a.m. we're likely done with the threat for severe weather. May have some lingering showers through the pre-dawn hours on your Saturday, but we'll quickly start to dry things out and maybe even clear out a little bit later in the day on Saturday. But again, some of these storms coming through could be fairly intense. I showed you that enhanced risk for severe weather earlier in the newscast. I want to break it down a little bit more, putting some different colors up here. The purplish color, we have a 30% chance for seeing severe weather within about 25 miles of any given spot. And you do see these black lines, this hatched area on the map. When this shows up, that basically means 10% or greater chance of significant severe weather. We're talking about EF2 or stronger tornado, wind speeds greater than 75 miles per hour, and hail larger than 2 inches. So we're going to be watching for a lot tomorrow as, again, some of these storms could be very, very intense. Tornado risk is there, damaging wind risk is there, large hail. We will get some heavy rain, but may not see much, if any, sort of flooding potential. But everything else certainly is on the table for tomorrow. Get the latest updates tomorrow morning with meteorologist Ron Young, as well as on our website, KSLA.com. Like Storm Tracker 12 on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. And we talked about the weather app earlier. Make sure you have that downloaded and set up and ready to go tomorrow to track those storms along with us. Nothing on radar right now as we check your forecast tonight. Clouds return, breezy, warm, 67, but otherwise quiet with a south wind at around 10 to 15. Tomorrow around the Arklatex, temperatures are expected to make a climb to near 80 ahead of the storms, with that chance for rain really picking up toward the end of the day and a breezy south wind expected. High temperatures tomorrow, 75 DeQueen, 77 Texarkana and Stamps. Will be near 80 in Center, 79 Carthage, 78 Marshall, Shreveport-Bossier 80 tomorrow, 80 in Natchitoches, 79 tomorrow in Bienville. Here is that first alert 7-day forecast. Again, severe weather alert day tomorrow. Storms come in afternoon, evening, and overnight, and they will all pose a threat for severe weather. Saturday morning, the rain chances wrap early. The story for the weekend, a significant temperature drop. 64 Saturday, 60 Sunday. Look at those overnight lows. Saturday night and Sunday night, upper 30s. We're likely talking about frost potential and maybe even a light freeze in some parts of the Arklatex. Temperatures do bounce back to near 80 again by the middle of next week. You're up to date with the latest 7-day forecast.
All right, playoff hockey back in Shreveport for the second straight year tomorrow night. We check in with the Mudbugs before tomorrow's big game one against Corpus Christi. Also, plenty of big games ahead for this young lady, a local athlete turned Florida State Seminole, and now the biggest move in her basketball career coming. I'll tell you about Amani Wright and what's next after the break. So this time tomorrow, we'll be getting ready to talk the Mudbugs' familiar return back to the postseason against a very familiar opponent for the second straight year. Shreveport taking on Corpus Christi, postseason commencing again for the second straight year. And this is a very similar situation, actually the exact situation that the Mudbugs found themselves in. Home ice at the Pond. Ultimately didn't matter. Rays sweeping the best-of-5 series. And even though the personnel a little bit different, the sentiment simple and the same. They just got to be better to the Mudbugs in 2018.
If we don't step up and focus more and dial in more, we're going to be out really quick. So they're coming in, they're ready to beat us. So we just got to make sure we look in the mirror and say, hey, we got to be better. We got to play harder. We got to be more focused. We got to be more dialed in. And if you go with that attitude, right, hopefully things work out for you.
Puck drops at 7-Eleven. All right, that big arena contest you may have heard about over the past couple of days gets underway in about a half hour. 11 o'clock, the Kraft Hockeyville contest, which is trying to find the best minor league building or community hockey venue in the country. Again, 11 o'clock tonight. Details, KSLA.com. The winner, vote for the Pond. The winner gets $150,000 in renovation money and an NHL preseason game next season. On to the Diamond. Josh Smith for LSU. There were thoughts he'd come back this week. Not so fast. Suffering a setback with that back injury, so he will remain on the bench, which means we will continue to see the Tigers freshman Hal Hughes try to man the position and hold things together. And it's not been easy for this guy. 6 errors, only hitting .212. But amidst all the criticisms from the outside, head coach Paul Maneri says, hey, lay off a little bit.
The position of shortstop looks really easy. You just field a ground ball and throw it over to first base. I'd invite every one of you to go out there and stand at shortstop and look over there at first base and realize just exactly how far that throw is. And this young kid has stepped in there, and I think he's done a magnificent job.
Taking on Tennessee tomorrow, first of a 3-game set. Meanwhile, Arkansas becoming must-watch television after cracking the top 3, looking like it continued tonight against South Carolina. Casey Martin and RBI double in the third, 2-1 Hogs. After 3, it would not stay. Gamecocks Carlos Cortez go-ahead 2-run shot. South Carolina takes the best of 3. And finally, we mentioned her before the break, Amani Wright, a former Liberty ILAU grad turned Florida State Seminole, soon to represent the Phoenix Mercury in the WNBA, picked number 26 overall tonight.
LSU coach ever get mad?
I don't know, man.
This guy on the face of the earth, yeah. When lose. Have a good night.
Stream KSLA News 12 for free on our new Roku and Amazon Fire TV channels.